The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to the Global Business with Mahesh Joshi. In the last episode, we discussed the role of financing in digital era with Professor Mark Bertanish. As we discussed, since the beginning of 21st century, internet technologies have triggered a major disruption. The tech startups are now the new job creators, creating a new business environment. Today, we are going to discuss the disruptions in traditional business models with technology. I have with me the iconic entrepreneur of India, Mr. K. Ganesh, to discuss the shifting paradigm and how internet technology impacts us. Ganesh is a serial entrepreneur with several successful greenfield ventures. He is a popular speaker in entrepreneurship, startup, and technology events. He is also a board member at the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta in India. He has driven change in many aspects of our daily lives with his innovative ideas delivered through his startup ventures. Online tutoring for students, Tutorvista, later acquired by Pearson, technology-led home healthcare to the Indian consumers, Portea Medical. He also actively mentors, incubates, and funds startups and is promoter of several Indian consumer internet and e-commerce companies, including BigBasket.com, India's largest e-grocery company, Bluestone.com, leading online jewelry company, Avagma.com, India's fastest growing online education company, food tech company Fresh Menu, and Home Lane, India's leading end-to-end vertically integrated interior design and manufacturing provider. Welcome, Ganesh.
Thank you, Mahesh. Great to be here.
All right, Ganesh. I was growing up and needed help with my homework or any academic issue. I had a tough time. You solved the problem for student community with your startup, Tutorvista. What was your inspiration behind that?
I had actually in 2005, the later part of 2005, I had exited, sold my earlier BPO or call center venture to ICICI, and I was looking at what next to be done. At that time, I had a cartoon in front of me from a U.S. newspaper. I forget which one. One of my friends from U.S. had sent it. If you recollect, that's the time when this entire concept of call centers from India answering consumers in the U.S. was on the front page news as something which is unique. So this cartoon basically depicted a U.S. father telling his daughter, saying that, no, you cannot outsource your homework to India. It was meant to be a joke. And I had this cartoon in front of me because one of my friends from U.S. had sent it. And when I was looking at it and looking for next gig to do, I said, why not? With the voice over internet protocol, I can actually do homework, help with education tutorial from India. So that cartoon was the inspiration. But after that, I did about 3 months of research And one of the things that we found was personalized one-on-one tuition in the US costs anything between $40 to $60 per hour. Now at $40 to $60 per hour, it's two things happen. One, it's the privilege of the super rich in US. And two, it is only meant for the absolutely failing student, the student who is getting a B or a C in order to get it. That's a very, very small niche premium market. So I said, what about if we turn this on the head? If we do something, instead of $40 to $60 per hour, if we can give the US parent and the US student something at $100 per month, $100 per month, unlimited, as many hours of tutoring as you want, 24/7, all subjects.
Wow.
Then we said it can become almost like your Netflix subscription or a cable subscription or a water or electricity subscription, part of the monthly household budget of the US family. So that is how it started. Fortunately, we were able to marry internet, voice over IP, Indian teachers or global teachers. We had teachers from different countries across the world. We were able to marry this together to be able to give to a US student $100 per month, all you can eat or all you can study business model. So it's really a Netflix kind of a business model, of a subscription model for tutoring using technology and global resources. That's how we started it. It went off very well.
That's amazing. And that's what you picked up idea from whatever was in front of you. And I would say building an idea and then executing it to perfection.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it we executed it to perfection. It's now part of Pearson, of course. But I think it really shows how new age business model can be built by trying to use the disruptive power of technology and internet. And all our businesses are focused on that particular theme, really. Because if you make marginal improvements, you cannot really create disruption. For example, when we started this Tutorvista, everybody said, you know what, call center IT services out of India for US is well known. Instead of $40 to $60 per hour, why don't you can do it at half the rate from India? Yeah, sure. But even at $20 to $30 per hour, still personalized tuition is expensive. We had, in fact, New York Times had done a story where son of a truck driver in US was using tutoring. Now, there is no way a person of that economic background can get personalized tuition unless you bring in the technology disruption and global resources into it. So that really is fascinating power that we see every day to be able to use for solving common problems.
Well, I can tell you there are a lot of people in U.S., including my kids, who would love to thank you for what you did, because I was not that privileged. You had not invented Tutorvista when I was studying, but my kids have used it, and I have also spoken to other people who have used it. It has been pretty impressive for them. And I saw most of them were using that as a reference point. If you need any help, why don't you go there? It was, I would say, you hit it to the level where it is almost, at least with the student community I talk, more like Xerox, which is photocopying. Okay, you need help, Tutorvista.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Ganesh, I've seen at your profile and the companies you have started, somehow I get a feeling that you are focused personally on improving the quality of life for human beings. You provided instant access to academic aid to students with Tutorvista, and you followed that up with the concept of home health care with the hospital quality. What drives your thought process for such unique concepts? I've understood for Tutorvista, but there are more you have followed up with.
Yeah, Mahesh, it's actually pretty down to earth, very non-glamorous and non-sexy approach to the business that we have in India. Okay, right? So I've never lived in the US or studied in the US, but I've always been in India all my 54 years of my life. India is very unique. In parts of India, we are world class. Okay, right? The access to doctors, access to latest equipment, access to media channels is like anywhere in the world. Okay, right? But there are other parts of India where almost everything is broken. Okay, right? And I'm not saying this to bash India. Okay, right? I'm really saying this to say the opportunity in India to be able to solve basic core problems, okay, right, and build a business is phenomenal. If you look at US, and this is my view of it, if you look at US or if you look at Europe, they are evolved economy. Lot of basic problem has been solved, okay, right, and the infrastructure is there. If I have to be in US and start a business, I have to be a genius, okay, right? I have to really be super smart to come up with new models. I mean, see, for example, Twitter. I laughed at it when they launched. Who would want to do it? Now everybody's on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. We use Twitter. Okay, right? Yeah. Facebook was unimaginable. It was okay for college students to communicate with each other as a group. Why would people be on Facebook? Okay, right? This is me thinking just 10 years back. Okay, right? So, but look at Instagram. I mean, I can't. So you have to be really brilliant and think out of the box if you are in US to be an entrepreneur and start a business. Okay, right? I mean, whereas in India, everything is broken and there lies the opportunity for it. If you take healthcare, despite having world-class doctors and great hospitals with latest equipment from the top equipment manufacturers in the world, still healthcare system is broken. The infrastructure is bad. Okay, right? So each one of us gives an opportunity. I was just talking to somebody. I mean, I just can't understand, for example, how you can have somebody like Snapchat, okay, right, building a business and be valued multi-billion dollars. Okay, right? I mean, what is the fun in taking a picture which will disappear after 16, 17 seconds? Why would people want to take a selfie? Now, if you look like me, you don't want to have a selfie. But if you did take a selfie, I'm okay with disappearing in 16 seconds. That's fine. But there is no revenue model, there is no money, but it's valued $1 billion. So what I'm saying is, in US and in Europe, you have to be super smart like the Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to be able to come up with great concept and build a business. In India, you can be, I wouldn't call it dumb. You don't have to. You solve basic problems. We solved healthcare in Portea Medical. Big Basket we started 4 years back. Today, last month we did a million deliveries last month in India across 16 cities, currently valued at close to $500 million of valuation. And there is nothing sexy or glamorous like Snapchat or Twitter about it. We are just delivering eggs and milk and bread to homes instead of people going there. So that's really the opportunity. How we do it is using technology. Same thing with Portea Medical. Home healthcare, there is no branded home healthcare player in India before we started this 2.5 years back. Today, we are in 22 cities across India. Last month, we did 100,000 home visits, and we are the largest player with international investors like IFC Washington, Axel Partners in US, Qualcomm Ventures, and all of those. By simply saying that I will give you at home nursing attendance, diagnostics, medicine, and doctor visits. So that I think the core thing is, can I use data analytics? Can I use mobile phone disruption? Can I use smartphones? Can I use internet and technology to solve a core problem, be it in healthcare, education, housing, infrastructure, and bring it all together to make it convenient. And we are just starting. The next 5 to 10 years, you will see technology disrupted models for basic services which are broken in India coming up, and $1 billion companies being built.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I think I see where you're focused on the basic needs, and definitely what you're working on will improve the quality of life for people. It will be very helpful to them. Well, that has been amazing, Ganesh, learning about what inspired you and knowing your thought process around developing these businesses. Now, we'll be taking a short break now, and we will be back shortly.
Today, enterprise technology is both strategic and global. Each week on CTN CIO Talk Network, IT thought leaders from around the world share their experience with listeners as they discuss with Sanjog Aul how they are trimming costs and partnering with business to innovate and help IT become more competitive, better care for customers, and improve the corporate bottom line. If you want to keep up with IT thought leadership, listen to CTN CIO Talk Network with Sanjog Aul at CIOTalkNetwork.com.
Are you a business leader or executive that wants to achieve more? Not just in it for profit, but to do work you find meaningful that adds more value to more people in more ways. Listen for the Business Elevation Show with host Chris Cooper. You'll hear from successful achievers from around the world with the passion and experience to offer invaluable guidance. The Business Elevation Show can be heard live on Fridays at 8 a.m. US Pacific Time, usually 4 p.m. UK, on the Voice America Business Channel. Be more, achieve more.
Welcome back. You are listening to Global Business with Mahesh Joshi. We have with us Mr. K. Ganesh discussing the disruption in traditional business models with technology. We had an excellent discussion in the first segment. Moving on, Ganesh, what we are all noticing, there have been dramatic changes as we are moving from industrial era to digital era. You have been at the forefront of these changes. How would you describe the new business environment and the changes?
Yeah, Mahesh, what is most exciting for us in the last 3 years and going forward is there has been a quantum change in the technology and especially the digital era. I mean, we have had before computers, personal computers, internet came in, World Wide Web came in, we had laptops, we had mobile phones. All of them, I would say, still was step by step by step. There is no exponential leap. The exponential leap, in my opinion, took place with smartphones, right? And mobile internet. Now, that has given, leveled the playing field, and it has given tremendous opportunities for entrepreneurs and new age business models to come in and disrupt. Let me take a moment to say what I mean by that. Today, average person checks the mobile phone 150 times a day, and wow. it's expected to go up to about 220 times a day in the next couple of years. Now, the mobile phone today has become almost an extension of your arm or leg. It's almost like a limb, okay, right? So what that gives opportunity for marketeers to target individuals directly, okay, right? That was not the case earlier. That gives an ability to be able to sell products and services. Its ability to engage with the consumer directly, which was non-existent earlier. Earlier, you had to go on television, you had to go on mass media, compete for attention, huge budgets. Today, all of that is gone with the smartphone and mobile internet. What are the three things that make this happen? Okay, right? One, the mobile phone is always on. Okay, right? This was not the case earlier. Right. If you remember, today when you get up in the morning, first thing you check is your mobile phone for messages and emails and WhatsApp and all of that stuff. That was not the case earlier, even just 5 years back or 10 years back. Even when you had a laptop, even when you had a notebook, you did not get up in the morning and first thing you go and switch on your laptop or notebook. You never did that, okay, right? Whereas here, this is the first thing that you do. When you go to the restroom in the morning, first thing, you carry your mobile phone with you. You rarely ever did that with your desktop or laptop, okay, right? So suddenly, so that's one, it's always on. The frequency is very high, too. Third, it is geolocation enabled. That means people know where you are. They can target. The reason why Uber or Lyft works is because they know your location. Now, all these three made it possible for us to be able to disrupt. So I think that is the core of it. Of course, the mobile phone is almost like a supercomputer of 10, 15 years back. It has got camera. It has got sensors. So that is huge. So I think that is the single biggest change. You have everybody is carrying a supercomputer in their hand, which is geolocation enabled, which is always on, which they are interacting with average 220 times a day. That has made it possible for us to change. It has that for a marketer is a dream come true. For existing people, it's a major disruption. I mean, if you look at, for example, cameras, okay, right? Now the camera in the smartphones have become so powerful, okay, right? It has changed the industry of cameras, okay, right? People take it on Instagram. People publish it on Instagram. Take, for example, book purchases, the challenges with traditional booksellers vis-a-vis Amazon or Apple or Spotify in terms of music. Airbnb being larger than all the hotel chains that are there, which have been around for decades and decades, or Uber or Lyft coming and disrupting a Avis or a Hertz or entire transportation industry per se. All of this is possible because of the core mobile, smartphone, internet that I talked about, right? I think that is where the biggest opportunity and challenge exists in almost everything in life. Going forward, we talk about Internet of Things. We're talking about sensors,
right,
which along with the smartphone that you already have will measure, be it in healthcare, be it for running your everyday life. So I think that's where we are moving towards.
I think I may be repeating some of them, but what you said is very correct. The life has changed a lot. We used to use for taking pictures. Everybody talked about Kodak, and you just mentioned Instagram. You talked about Amazon. We used to go to bookstores. It could be border books, and same with Apple taking away the Tower Records in the music. Airbnb replacing hotel chains. Uber and Lyft, you mentioned, replacing taxis. LinkedIn is so popular now, and we used to have resumes and recruiters. Social media has completely replaced, I would say, almost newspapers. And all your initiatives with Big Basket and Amazons and others, the e-commerce has replaced the retail stores. So there is a huge change happening right there. Now, there has been changes. It seems pretty evident. If you look at it, and from your advice, how should one prepare for this new business environment? Seems like this new business environment needs new set of skills, and even the job requirements have changed and would change, and there'll be new job requirements.
Yeah, businesses today have a very different set of problems as compared to what it was earlier. So firstly, we need to recognize the fact that today's world is different and the past rules just cannot apply. For example, the whole connectivity has made cost of entry of new businesses much lower. Because of smartphones, because of mobile internet, we can reach to our customers, consumers, suppliers directly, much faster, quicker, at a very low cost. The competition is just not confined only to your boundaries. It's global, right? And it can come from anywhere in the world. So all of this has meant that businesses have to reinvent, can't sit on the past laurels, have to play the game as per the new rules. From an individual perspective, the skill sets required to get a job, to grow with a job, to earn a living has completely changed. So things that we took for granted, the skill set that we took for granted no longer exists. I'm not saying that core things like transportation will go away. You will still need drivers. You will still need carpenters. You will need plumbers and masons. But the way the world is organized, the way the services are being provided are completely different now than what it was existing. Just take, for example, the amount of automation the factories have seen. Whether it's 3D printing, whether it is robots, whether it's manufacturing, those kind of jobs are not going to exist. Similarly, take the example of call center workers or receptionists, people who answer calls. All of that is going to get automated. You look at it when you actually go to an airport. When you check in today, so much of automation has come in, right from printing the boarding pass to doing a security check to actually checking in, that the number of people employed in an airport to get you into the plane has drastically come down. Now, the pilots may not go away, but these jobs will change. So if you are preparing to be an administration assistant for an aircraft industry or an airlines industry or a hospitality industry like a hospital, those jobs are going to come down. So I think the amount of learning the individuals have to do, the new skill sets, a lot of coding and software programming related skills, you will see that required to be able to compete in the job market in the future.
I think you're right, because the conventional way of getting ready for a job, even the type of education needed, the way you have to always keep enhancing your learning, it looks like in this new environment things will be moving very fast. Even if you acquired the required skill at a given point of time to be successful in a job or to get into a job, may not keep you there for too long, because things will be changing very fast. The rate of change has gone pretty high.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because the amount of learning on the job to stay relevant and to be able to perform and keep your job will continuously change. Look at automobiles, something as traditional as automobiles. The entire controls have become electronic. Okay, right? The amount of automation, the amount of electronics in automobile is unbelievable. Still, it's an internal combustion engine. Still, you need petrol or diesel to run it. I'm not talking about electric cars. We're talking about traditional cars. But the changes in control systems have completely changed from mechanical to electrical to electronic and completely different skill set. I mean, look at Tesla, for example. The amount of, while there is mechanics, still an automobile and a car, the amount of effort, IP that goes into it is very different than what it was even 10 years back.
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like, Ganesh, with the speed of things, individuals, including all of us, will have to become somebody following a lifelong learning process. Things will be changing. If you're not learning, you are lagging, and you may not be relevant for the job market. Well, thank you so much, Ganesh, for this great insight. We will be taking again a short break, and we will be back shortly.
Many industries have been revolutionized by technology in the last decade. Books, music, TV, communications, and now it's happening to our money and the way we pay. Tune in to Breaking Banks with Brett King for a look at how technology and customer behavior will bring about more changes in banking in the next 10 years than in the last 200 years. Listen every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific on Voice America Business Channel or on AM 1160 The Voice. You'll never look at your bank account the same again.
Dialogue is the single most powerful leadership tool we have to make a difference in the world. Leading Conversations with host Cheryl Esposito creates a place for that dialogue. Tune into the Voice America Business Channel every Friday as Cheryl hosts new conversations among leaders from around the world in business, government, art, economics, and social change. We'll explore big ideas and everyday actions and learn how their own leadership has led them to discover a newfound sense of possibility in the world. Leading Conversations with Cheryl Esposito, bringing big thinkers together in conversations that make a difference, right here on the Voice America Business Channel every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Welcome back to Global Business with Mahesh Joshi. We are here with Mr. K. Ganesh discussing the disruption in traditional business models with technology. Ganesh, interesting discussions till now. Just want to capture your thoughts on what's the role of startups in creating the new global business environment?
Yeah, happy to be back. The entire startup sector is really fueling the employment creation, the job creation today. If you look at specifically from Indian context, we have huge number of people getting into the job market every year. On the positive side, we call this demographic dividend, which is great because you have able-bodied people coming into the workforce sector. On the flip side, this demographic dividend can become a demographic disaster if you are not able to occupy them productively with jobs. Right? It can lead to anarchy, unrest, as you see in some parts of the world, when young qualified population is not able to find an outlet for their energy and are not able to get a job. And as you know, the traditional sectors, the brick and mortar economy, old sector businesses are not creating enough jobs. They are actually shrinking jobs because of things like automation, because of tapering of growth. They actually don't provide employment to the workforce that is coming. So the entire employment generation is really happening because of entrepreneurs coming up, of startups coming up. Look at traditional sectors. Look at call center industry, for example. Today, we have automated the entire services sector. The number of people taking calls, answering questions has come down drastically. Take airlines as an example. If you had airways having call centers, answering people, giving them boarding passes, answering queries, all of those jobs are gone because today people can get the information on the internet. So really the core role of a startup is in new employment creation.
I think you gave a very good example of airlines, and normally we used to call the airport and check if the flight is going to leave in time or is the arrival on time. Nowadays, you can even locate the position of an aircraft in your hand, in your mobile device. That's an amazing way to change the life.
Yeah, exactly. And if a flight is delayed, you get a SMS notification. You will get an in-app notification. Right. Your boarding pass is automatically generated when you are booked. And you have all these AI tools, machine learning, that will replace your personal assistant who used to chase all of this. If you wanted to book a car, you used to call your secretary, ask them to book. Then the car rental company will have a call center which will take the request and which will call up the driver, and the driver will call her back and she will call your secretary back. You will get the information back. All of that's gone away with a Uber or a Lyft. You see the vehicle on your app and you press a click, it comes. There is not even a human contact, right? Yeah. And so all those jobs are gone. Now those have to be replaced. Take a case like in India, for example, because a lot of things are broken. Whenever a startup starts, it creates direct jobs in the startup and it creates all allied services. For example, when we started Big Basket, which is an e-grocery company, we are employing so many drivers, so many delivery boys, so many pickup guys, so many people who go to the farmer or the mill to be able to source the goods. All of them got created. Similarly, in Portea Medical, we started 2.5 years back. Today, we employ 5,000 people. No hospital employs 5,000 people.
Right? Mm-hmm. I think you bring in a very good point that startups do create an environment of innovation and competition in the market, which is good for the consumer. And it is bringing a lot of new ideas into play, which is bringing dynamism into the economy. And beyond that, if you look at it, globally, they have created some fantastic clusters of expertise. Like Tel Aviv has one of them, Bangalore has, Silicon Valley has a lot of very focused expertise available to you.
Yeah.
And I think it is giving advantage to developing economies as well as it is helping the developed economies. And some statistics show that U.S. economic growth and increase in employment in past few decades have come from technology companies. Some of them have been very new companies. It's like, as you mentioned earlier, about Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, Groupon. They never existed in the past. These are not conventional industries. And these are disruptive innovations. And if you look at, they are contributing significantly to the GDP of United States of America. And the other advantage which I see, and I would like to have your comments on it, is go beyond recognized companies with visible growth. We have GEs and a lot of large companies which we always talk about. But there's a lot of startups, as you mentioned, creating jobs. And the move from industrial era to digital era is driven probably by most of these startups. And they are so easy to start, people can afford it. No large investment is needed. The financial industry has changed to help it out. And what I see the biggest benefit is they are not a smaller version of a large corporation. They are lean companies. They know how to get things done. They are very dynamic. They are creating new things. They're solving, as you said, the basic problems of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. One, they can start quickly. The barrier to entry or the effort required to start is low. Two, they can learn on the fly. They can make mistakes and they can start correcting it while they are going on. So, and that has also meant the organization structures have become flat. You no longer take 12 months to launch a company.
Right.
You no longer hire the full org structure to be complete before starting. Two young guys can start, develop an app, put it out there, see the feedback, and iteratively develop the product. And while you're doing it, you can set up all of it. And that's really is a fundamental change in thinking from the old traditional Peter Drucker kind of days, wherein you thought of an organization in the traditional sense. Now it's disruption, startup, fail fast, do pilots, experiments, and keep learning and growing. Okay? Put it out there and then correct and iterate.
Correct. And that's a huge benefit, because if you look at startups, almost all of them have developed new technologies. They have challenged the conventional processes, systems, and that's why they have provided new products and new services, and which are radically different. And I would like to go back to your example of a personal tutor at what a price to online. And if that personal tutor, even if you could afford the money, it was available to you only at a fixed time. Whereas through Tutorvista, you had it available all the time, anywhere, and you are so well connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this concept of on-demand, getting it at the time that you want, at the place that you want, rather than being constrained by boundaries, either of time or of geography, has completely changed it. You can learn it when you're at home, when you're in a library, or you're at a school. You can learn it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour. That is the flexibility that people want today. You want to order a dessert, go to Instacart and order it from a delivery service that will come and deliver it to you at wherever you are, rather than trying that you have to go to a physical location to get it.
Yeah, that's a major point, and no doubt if you look at in 21st century, the businesses definitely are dealing with major strategic issues. The performance of firms is declining. And on the S&P 500, the average life of companies, which used to be approximately 65 years since 1920, has gone down below 20 years. Because if you don't change, you don't survive.
No, absolutely. I mean, like we are doing the call on the Skype, and what will happen to the telecom companies, what happens to voice telephony in light of internet telephony, all of these, I think, are scary, at the same time exciting times for us.
Right. And Ganesh, what do you think? This startup culture is becoming very prominent, making a lot of changes, getting a lot of good things. for the society, including jobs, new processes, technologies, products. Does startup culture has a geopolitical implication also? When I say that, what I mean is it allowing developing countries to start challenging dominance of Western world in innovation? Is it giving them some advantage in terms of a level playing field?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think because there is disruption, it always helps a new player, right? Because it levels the playing field, removes any inequality in terms of advantages that you have. In India specifically, because we have a lot of talent on the technology side, on the programming side, on the computer side, that has really helped us in creating solutions which are disruptive based on technology and using technology. That is one. Two, as you know, in India, it's the Indian consumer is extremely price conscious. Plus, given the purchase power parity and the difference in the dollar-rupee exchange rate, we need to really develop solutions for the Indian consumer at an extremely affordable cost. Also, India is a complex country with multiple languages, multiple culture, multiple climatic conditions, multiple infrastructure challenges. So, if a startup in India develops a solution for India, you can be rest assured it will be stress tested, applicable almost anywhere in the world, except maybe really cold countries which are snow-laden. Other than that, in every other climatic conditions, it will work. And it will be developed at a cost which an Indian consumer can afford, anybody in the world can afford. So I think India has got unique advantages of having all of this. Also, the Indian market is a very large market. So that also gives an opportunity for an Indian startup to develop products and solutions for the local market and then take it globally. What I mean is if you're talking about Denmark or Singapore, the local market is so small, the startup will have to develop solutions for a different country and a larger market like India, Brazil or China. It's so much more difficult. Here sitting in Bangalore, I develop in my locality a solution that will get accepted in Bangalore. Bangalore, by the way, has got 12 million people, much more than most of the countries in the world. Okay, right? Then I have an opportunity to take it to the entire world. I think that is a huge benefit. The fact that we have English-speaking professionals in India, graduates in India, English is the main language, also helps in taking it to the world. And the government of India has, under the new government, new Prime Minister, is emphasizing a lot on startup. They have a new Startup India, Stand Up India policy that tries to remove the red tapes, makes it simple to start companies, gives incentives, have pumped in some money. All of that is helping. It's still a long way to go, Mahesh. We are nowhere near what Israel or Singapore is, or even Europe or US is in terms of ease of starting up. But I think all of it is coming together. Also helping is the fact that we have large US corporations setting up development centers in India. Mm-hmm. We have had a lot of people, Indians who have worked in the Silicon Valley, who after a certain age want to settle back in India. They have come here. So I think we almost have a lot of things, I would say, conspiring to come together. One, a robust mentor advisors ecosystem. Yeah. Two, lot of returning Indians from the Silicon Valley, especially from the Bay Area where they have got exposure to technology. Three, venture capitalists, both Indian, local and top US venture capitalists sitting in India. Four, a large market in India, domestic market where people can start and test out. And fifth, the need to be extremely frugal and price conscious to develop the solutions so that we can take it to the world.
Well, that's a brilliant point because considering all of these, if a solution is created, it's pretty disruptive. It's created, let's say, in Bangalore, with the cost structure there, it could be very, very disruptive for the developed countries because you can get major amount of saving and you can get a brilliant service or a product at a very affordable price. And it has been already tested with different languages, cultures, different ways of doing things. Well, Ganesh, thank you so much. It was very enlightening. We'll take a short break and we'll be back shortly.
There are two types of leaders in business. Those who are nice, compassionate people, and frankly, they are the people who fail to get a lot done. Then there are those who can get everything done and so much more. But they are greedy, unethical, and self-centered. The Compassionate Samurai Business Hour with Kathy Fairbanks finds a way to use the best of both types of leaders to help you create a dynamic roadmap to success. Tune in every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Business.
The leaders of today have certain characteristics that set them apart as success stories. These leaders have discovered transformational leadership. Now, you can discover the same ideas, insights, and programs that have led them to success. Inside Transformational Leadership is produced by Georgetown University's Institute for Transformational Leadership. We'll explore these success stories every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel.
Welcome back. You are listening to Global Business with Mahesh Joshi. We are here with Mr. K. Ganesh discussing the disruption in traditional business models with technology. We had very exciting discussions, very insightful piece of information and advice from Mr. Ganesh. Ganesh, you have developed several innovative business models and startups. What do you see are the promising sectors for future?
Yeah, Mahesh, I think a lot of promise is in the core sectors where technology and disruption has not really yet set in, and they are almost begging to be disrupted and are looking at new business models. Take, for example, healthcare. Okay, right? We have had healthcare across the globe under severe stress with so much of new diseases coming up. A lot of advancements has taken place in diagnostics, in pharma, but still healthcare disruption using technology has not seen the light of the day. So we do see that in the coming years, you will see wearables, point of care devices, predictive diagnosis coming up, which will use sensors to monitor your vitals and parameters on an ongoing basis, will use the power of the smartphone, which everybody has got, to be able to combine both and using analytics to be able to predict diseases, to be able to intervene before, say, a heart attack or a stroke happens. Right? And we are just starting that. There are a lot of new startups which have come up in the area of wearables, sensors. We would see a lot of effect there. So that is one area. The second area I see is finance, where we are still using coins and currency notes. We are using banks. We are using traditional retail, old 100-year-old systems of handling finance. I see retail finance up and ready for disruption, be it Bitcoin, blockchains, be it payment banks, be it payment wallets. Some of the European countries have already started talking about completely doing away with currency, because everybody will have a phone, okay, right? Everybody will have a smartphone. Right. So why can't we just transact on the internet?
So that's the second. Is we may not be carrying any wallets anymore.
Correct. You will not need to carry any wallets. You have a certain identity, unique identity, and you have somewhere in the cloud virtual currency that is there. and which is completely exchangeable. Okay, right? You see it as the next evolution from the old barter days to currency days to
Right.
now the entire thing is electronic. Okay, right? Similarly, you take education. Now, education again has been traditionally done the same way. There has been some technology usage in education, but people are still talking Newton's third law the way they were teaching it 50 years back or 100 years back. Education will become a lot more personalized, lot more adaptive, not based on memory and remembering facts and figures, but actually applying facts that you have learned. Almost the concept of a flipped classroom, where people learn at their convenience, in the place they want. They use multimedia based on what they prefer to learn it. And then they come to a classroom to discuss, to debate, and to participate and network with the faculty, with other students. So that is another disruption that will take place. Similarly, the entire new media, entertainment, we have not seen anything. The amount of usage that people have with cell phones, the engagement that they have with their smartphones is so much that almost the entire entertainment will come directly into your phone and you will consume that. Your entire free time will be spent on your phone, watching movies, videos, news, consuming content. So I think healthcare, education, fintech or financial sector, new media, entertainment sector are all the hot sectors, in my opinion, for the next 5 to 10 years, where you will see huge multi-billion-dollar companies getting built from a sector point of view. From a technology point of view, we have just scratched the surface on data analytics. But if you combine data analytics with Internet of Things, the way data is being collected at every point of source, analyzing it and using it to intervene and take action, we see a lot of effort. The entire machine learning, artificial intelligence, chatbots will revolutionize the way people interact with each other, people interact with devices, and the way we run our lives.
Wow, that seems like life is going to change. But the good news is the basics of life are being improved. Like as you said, healthcare. That's very important. And very good news looks like on education, that it can be personalized as well as it becomes a fact-based. And you bring in a very good point with the faculty and classmates in future classrooms. You'll be learning from each other after you have done your personalized fact-based learning. And looks like entertainment will also be personalized. Not you watch what is coming on TV. Instead, your taste is picked up by somebody else, and that's being streamed to you.
Yeah, absolutely personalized and at the place and time that you want. I think the place and time concept has completely got changed to suit the individual rather than a broadcast or a classroom or a scheduled session, all of that.
Perfect. Well, Ganesh, thank you so much. That was very, very exciting discussion. A lot of good information, knowledge you shared with us. I just want to share 3 quick unique data points with our listeners. As per the Kaufman study, the net job creation in USA was positive in past 3 decades. And the main reason was the contribution of startups in at least 70% of that time period. And on average, that's stunning, during this period, industrial era companies had negative job growth. The other piece which I want to share with listeners is the concept of smart parking. According to Streetline, there are approximately 2 billion parking spaces in the United States of America. A total of 70 million hours are spent each year looking for parking, which represents a $1 billion loss to economies, lost productivity. And finally, that's a huge number.
That's a huge number, and that's going nowhere. Huh? I mean, take that. We can solve some of the poverty problems.
There you go. We can contribute to the removal of inequality right there. And finally, the top 10 startup hubs in the world are Silicon Valley in the United States of America, Toronto, Canada, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Paris, France, London, England, Berlin in Germany, Tel Aviv in Israel, Nairobi in Kenya, Singapore, and Bengaluru in India. In some of these, Ganesh, looks like the tourist destinations, but now when we go there, we can see how much of intellectual vibes are floating around. There's a lot of knowledge around in these cities. And Ganesh, I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your mindset and how do you build the concepts. It's amazing to see how you picked up simple ideas and created businesses which are helping human